name is Ellen Tatro-Micah, and I am a business professor and the Grinspoon Faculty Advisor for Holyoke Community College. Today I have the distinct honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Gayle Rudd-Smith. Gayle is a 1974 graduate of Holyoke Community College with an entrepreneurial drive that has propelled her through the ranks in the retail industry. In the early years, she was employed as a manager at UNU Levi's, eventually moving on to serve as national sales manager for Revlon. Joining forces with a business partner in 1992, her entrepreneurial dream came to fruition. Gayle is the co-founder of Middlebridge Marketing, Incorporated in Lincoln, Rhode Island. Middlebridge Marketing is a consumer products brokerage firm with annual sales in excess of $100 million. They have one customer, CVS. Gayle credits her success to her college experience and continues to give back to Holyoke Community College and the students. She serves in our alumni mentoring program, on the Business Division Advisory Board, and is a recipient of the college's Distinguished Service Award. She is a member of the National Association of Chain Drug Stores and returned early from this year's national convention to join us here today. For the past several years, Gayle has educated, mentored, and engaged our entrepreneurial students. I have observed through class trips to her firm and to the CVS headquarters in Lincoln, Rhode Island, it is evident that Gayle elicits the same dedication to her employees and her business associates. She is a mother of 2 children, Christina and Bobby, and resides in Granby, Mass. With her husband, Ray. She enjoys traveling, is an avid skier, and an ultimate scrapbooker. We are here today to celebrate entrepreneurship, here to share her journey. Please welcome Gayle Rudd-Smith.
Thank you, Ellen, for your kind words. I'd like to start by saying how impressive the entrepreneurial talent is in this room this evening. If this is any indication of our future, we have a very bright future. And I wouldn't want to have to judge I certainly would not want to judge the elevator pitches. I mean, they're all winners to me. The first time I ever attended this event was about 10 years ago. The keynote speaker was Michael Kittredge, founder of Yankee Candle and a Holyoke Community College alum. As I sat in the audience and listened to him speak, I never dreamed in my lifetime that I would be at this podium. So I'd like to thank Mr. Grinspoon and Carrie, the faculty, and the students for allowing me to share my journey with you. I call it a journey because to become an entrepreneur is a journey. There's a lot of paths that you will take, good and bad, ups, downs, twists, turns, wins, and losses. But it only takes one win. So before I get started, what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am today. I am a native Holyoker. I grew up in Lyman Terrace, affectionately known as the Projects. For those of you familiar with Holyoke, the Projects are located below High Street, behind the old Holyoke Transcript Telegram. For those of you not familiar with Holyoke, it's downtown. My first job, other than babysitting, I was a paper girl. But of course, I lived right behind the Transcript. I guess you can say I was an entrepreneur at a very young age. All of our customers were our neighbors in the Projects and local businesses up and down Dwight Street. My brother George and I shared in the responsibility of delivering the papers. He delivered on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I delivered on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Why Saturday? Why me? Well, Saturday was the day you collected the money. Now, back then, Papers were 7 cents a day, 42 cents a week. Now I'm dating myself. You cannot believe how difficult it was to collect that 42 cents. My mother says I was relentless. You didn't get your Saturday paper till I got my 42 cents. I was educated in the Holyoke school system, graduating from Holyoke Catholic High School. My plan after high school was to go to work. I was the middle child of 5, single-parent household. My mother couldn't afford to send me to college. However, I had the opportunity to apply for a scholarship at Holyoke Community College. I was also very fortunate to receive that scholarship. I'll put that in perspective to you. Back then, tuition was $100 or $150 a semester, and I could not afford to go to school until I got my scholarship from Holyoke Community College. I knew exactly what I wanted to study. I wanted to get into their retail management program. So I entered the school in that curriculum, and I met 2 women who would change my life forever. Professor Elaine Ironfield, who is with us tonight, and Professor Ann Potter, who couldn't be with us tonight because she's traveling all over China. We'll get her when she gets back. They became not only my professors, my teachers, motivators, mentors. Today I consider them my friends. They saw things in me I didn't know existed back then. When it came time for graduation from Holyoke Community College, Elaine approached me and said, "Have you considered going on for your bachelor's degree?" Right. Where am I going to get the money to go on to school for my bachelor's degree? She said, "Don't worry about the money. Just apply." So with her help and guidance, I did. And to my surprise, got into all 3 schools I applied to and got merit scholarships to go to all 3. I ended up going to Russell Sage College in Troy, New York, and studied economics and retail management. Upon graduation, I couldn't get a job that summer. So I waitressed at one of the finest restaurants in the city of Holyoke, the Log Cabin. So I might have to cut this short. They might need my help at the end of tonight. So that fall, I was fortunate to enter into a manager's training program for a small chain of stores called U&U Levi's, better known today as The Gap. Within a short period of time, I was promoted to store manager, and I got my own store. Out of the blue, I got a call from a headhunter. Where they got my name, I don't know. They were interviewing in the area for sales consultants. I took the interview. Once I agreed to the interview, they told me what the job was. It was with Revlon out of New York City. A sales consultant would call on retail stores, write replenishment orders, and merchandise the product. Here's the best part of all. Company car, expense account, and travel. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. During the interview process, I had to interview, my final interview was with the regional manager. And his question to me was, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I looked him in the eye and said, "I will have your job." He laughed. He laughed. And he thought, "Oh, isn't she cute?" I had his job in 5 years. I'll never forget being invited to the first national sales meeting for regional managers. They flew us all out to Dallas, Texas. I walked in the room. There were 30 men and me. What went through my head? Well, in the famous words of Neil Armstrong, This was one small step for man, one giant leap for womankind, and you know I made that up. I spent 10 years with Revlon, and that is really setting the stage where I'm going to bring you to next. I called on all of the retailers in New England, and there were quite a few. New England was a melting pot for retail back in the 80s and the 70s. Today, there's very few retailers left in this. They've all gone Chapter 11 or Chapter 7. But during that time, I was networking, and I didn't know it, but I was networking, meeting people from some of the biggest consumer products companies in the world, Procter & Gamble, J&J, all the big cosmetic companies. So while I'm in these headquarters calling, I would always run into these sales reps called manufacturers representatives. Better known today, it's a sexier name, consumer products brokers. Doesn't that sound better? They would come into an account, they'd spend the day there, selling to several different buyers, many different categories, and they worked on commission. They got paid commission for what they sold. Most of them were independent contractors. Ironically, I get a phone call from one of the largest consumer products brokerage firm in New England. They're starting a beauty division in their company, and they're looking for somebody with a beauty background to head up this division. That brings me to where I am today. As I am starting this beauty division for this company, there was another woman entrepreneur coming into the market, her name Diane Charmano, who is starting up a startup company, one-woman show, manufacturers repping company. We were fierce but friendly competitors. We sold to the same accounts, we had similar lines, we were vying for the same dollars and the products in the store. One weekend, we met at an industry event. We decided to have dinner together that night. By the end of the night, history was made. We decided that we would form a partnership. I would lead this very large, secure firm, go with this one-woman show that had very little business at the time. Why would I do that? Well, it gave me the opportunity to own, operate, and build my own company from the ground up. Now, partnerships are not easy. I will tell you that. And there were our competitors, taking bets in Vegas we weren't going to make it. Why? A woman owned and operated company? Unheard of. The other reason, two pretty strong women joining a company together. I think they thought we were going to kill each other. 30 years later, here we are. We're still in business. What made that partnership work? What made it work is we checked our egos at the door. We didn't have business cards with titles on them for 20 years of business. We just did our thing. We had common goals, common work ethic, communication, and we always showed a united front, even if we wanted to kill each other. We would agree to disagree. Because of the strength of our partnership, we took this startup company that was probably doing $4 to $5 million when I joined it, tripled the business every year for the next 5 years, turning it into well over $100 million in net shipments. That would equate to in retail sales, Keystone, $200 million. So, I'm sure many of you are asking, so what does she really do? So I'm going to tell you go a little bit deeper into that. I'm a consumer products broker. My customer is CVS. Whatever you can buy in a CVS, I sell with the exception of prescription drugs. So healthcare, beauty care, general merchandise. Why do people hire us to sell? There's a couple of reasons. Look around the room here tonight. all these new entrepreneurs. One of the biggest expense you are going to find in a company is payroll. And you have to pay that person, whether they sell something or not, just to show up to work. The beauty of a manufacturer's rep is you don't pay me until I sell something. And you typically don't pay me until you get paid. So it's built into your cost of goods, and it's built into your cash flow. Nothing comes out of your pocket. Now, we can't survive on pioneering and new businesses, so we have to have a mixed portfolio. I have some very large businesses. And why would they hire me when they can put on their own sales force? Well, to supplement their sales force. They may be located in California, Chicago, New York. We're in Rhode Island. We're 7 miles from CVS. If they need a sample, they need somebody to talk to, they need something done, we'll be there in 10 minutes. You can't do that when you're in California, New York, or Chicago. We also, because I personally have been calling on CVS for 34 years, we can navigate the organization. So we know how to do business with CVS. We know the forms that need to be filled out. We know the criteria for doing. So we could really help our manufacturers at a CVS. So what are some of the challenges that we have? One is we only have one customer. And Ellen, I'm not going to give you a chance to ask me that. And you know that you learn in school, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, we don't have much choice in New England because a lot of the companies that we had many, many years ago are out of business. They went Chapter 11, Chapter 7, which is bankruptcy, and they're gone. So we tried to turn this negative situation into a positive. First of all, CVS, when I started calling on them in 1983, had 500 stores. Today, they have 9,000 stores. So when I go in to sell something to a CVS, it could be $1 million opening order, right? Because I'm getting out into 9,000 stores. So we decided as a company to focus on CVS. We expanded our portfolio. We expanded our sales team. We are the CVS experts. That's what we look at each other as. And how do we become that? Value added. We don't sell in, we sell through. We have full departments in our company that track orders. So we receive them electronically. We track them through the system to make sure they get to the warehouse. We have a full department that does analytics. Today, the world is driven by analytics. You have to know what that's SKU is selling in units and dollars. You need to know if it's going to make benchmark. You need to know if it's going to, exist in planogram next year. So we have all of these. We also have a marketing department where we go out and look for new products to bring to CVS and new ideas to bring to them, which has also been very successful for us. Other challenges we have, we're on 30-day contracts. You can fire me in 30 days for no reason at all. Gone. Big companies buying smaller companies. I'll give you an example of that. We launched a toothbrush about 15 years ago. Sold it to every retailer in New England. It was huge. Procter & Gamble swooped in, bought the toothbrush. You'll all know this toothbrush. It's now called the Crest Spin Brush. It started out as the Spin Brush, owned and operated by a single entrepreneur. He created a brokerage company across the country to sell it, and obviously made millions on it, selling it to Procter & Gamble. Other things is our competition. Our competition is always after us. So how do we survive? You know what survivors do. They outwit, they outplay, therefore they outlast the competition. I've seen a lot of competitors go by the wayside over the last 30 years. And the only reason why we haven't is because we've kept our finger on the pulse of what is going on in our industry. And we adapt to the changes. The only constant in any industry is change. Status quo is not an option, and if you don't change, you will not be in business. So we have to completely reinvent ourselves. And since CVS is our business, we need to know and understand what they're doing. Ellen mentioned, I just came back from a trip last night. I was in Arizona for 5 days at the National Association of Chain Drug Stores. Every customer in the country was there, all the executive level. There were 5,000 or 6,000 people. Every product category was there. That's where we meet, we network, and we pick up new lines. So in closing, I just want to reflect a little bit on my entrepreneurial journey. And at the end of the classes that I used to do at Holyoke Community College with Professor Micah and Ann Potter, there are a few key learnings that I would just like to give you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's how you learn. The more questions you ask, the more you learn. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You will get a lot more out of them. Set the example. Do not ask people to do something you haven't done or are not willing to do yourself. My partner and I, we open boxes, stock shelves, put out trash, and do the dishes, if that's what we have to do. So we set the example in our company. But here's one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites. Good people don't follow money. Money follows good people. So when you have those choices, that you've this big company that wants to hire you and pay you all this money, but you also have this opportunity to follow your passion and your dream, I would follow my passion and my dream, and trust me, the money will come. So the last thing I have to say is never, ever forget where you came from. As you climb that corporate ladder, and you become that big entrepreneur, give back to the people who helped you get there. So in the words so beautifully sung by Tim McGraw, when you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around, help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. I am truly humbled and honored to share my journey with you. Thank you. So I was told that there's a little Q&A, but remember that point I just gave about asking questions? I was only kidding. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
So do you have a succession plan or anything like that since you've been at it for 30 years and you're so involved?
Do I have a succession plan? Well, I still have a son in college, so I'll be working for a few more years. He's only a freshman. So, yes, we do have a succession plan. My partner and I are both the same age. We've been doing this for about the same time. And we have employees within our company that we are developing, and they will eventually take over the company. That is the plan, yes.
Are they part of an ownership structure now?
They are. They are. It's called sweat equity. You were. It's a 5-year plan out there. Yeah.
Thanks so much for inspiring talk. As with the demise of a lot of brick and mortar stores, how do you see the future with a lot of online opportunities for consumers?
Oh, that was the talk of the industry that I was at this weekend, and the retailers are scared. I mean, oh, I'm sorry. With the demise of retail, the brick and mortar retail that's going on here, and the rise of digital businesses, and how are they planning on handling that, or is that pretty much the question? And you know what? They're still vetting through that right now. And I'll give you an example. CVS, and because that's my customer, I can talk to that more fluently. They look at themselves as a healthcare provider. And they are changing a lot of what they do to support that. I think you all know 2 years ago, they got out of the cigarette business because they felt it was, you know, it's creating illness and problems. How can we be a healthcare? That was a $2 billion industry for them that they walked away from. They are offering healthcare services at store level, minute clinics, where you can come in and get flu shots and eye exams. They're getting rid of trans fats in their foods and offering healthy snack foods in the replacement. They've created healthy skincare sections. They're getting rid of phthalates and parabens and formaldehyde that are in their products. They're doing a lot of things differently to promote. CVS has one of the largest customer loyalty programs in the United States. Their Extra Care card, and you should all have one, I hope. It's 17 years old. There are 83 million cardholders, and they have collected 12.2 billion points of information from them. So if you go into a store and you get those offers at the register, they're targeted to your past purchases. They've started a program called Curbside Pickup to make it easy for the consumer. Now, we're not getting them in the store, but we're getting them to buy from the store. So they've also have an app. When you walk in that store, if you've got that app on your phone, it's dinging like crazy. It's got every a product that's on ad that's in your profile that you might want to be. So they're trying to bring people into the stores by direct mailers, personalization, personalized ads online directed specifically to the consumer. So it's going to be change. There's going to be a huge change, but they're trying a lot of avenues to get the consumer to come back into the store. So.
Thank